Guys, what are we doing? We are doing Switchblade versus Gravity Knife. Which is better and why I say so. But we're not going to do it yet. You guys know what happens next. Here comes that some sort of logo. So, since I have these two at the house, this is my personal version of the Reat XO, which is, in my opinion, now these are based on opinion, the best ever gravity knife I've ever seen. I know there's ones out there. And then you have the Deadlock OTF by Grant and Gavin Hawk, which, if you watched the video I did the other day, I personally think that this is the best ever out the front. So why not compare them side by side, best possible versions of a gravity knife versus the best possible version of a Switchblade, and see how they fare. So we're going to do a quick walkthrough of the benefits of both, and then we will come back and we'll talk about pros and cons of each, and then we'll come back and I'll let you know which one I think wins. They're both going to stay on the table, and we'll just kind of bounce back and forth, pros of each and then cons of each. So give me a second because I've got some stuff written down. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at is deployment and ease of deployment. So the OTF is simply this. You push forward. Now, this is the Deadlock, and like I said, this is the end-all be-all when it comes to OTF knives. And so I'm using it because I think this is the end-all be-all of gravity knives. I really do. I think that these are the best possible versions of each configuration. So the OTF is a very simple deployment. It is simply a push forward, and then your blade is out and you have it. For tactical purposes, as much as I like to say that these are not that tactical, the fact is that that ease of deployment is very good. It does have some downfalls in this deployment. This has got a what's called a derail feature that is on all of these out the fronts. And so you can see here, it derails from its slide, and then it you can't deploy that knife until you realign it. So it does have some downfalls on that. Now, gravity knife, ease of deployment is almost as simple. It's just a simple lift and slide. The thing that this has going for it is that even if you stop part way, it's going to continue the second you remove that tension. Like if you get caught up part way and then you release the tension off of that, now you have the full deployment. Is it any faster? Not really. This might be a little faster. Now, what I will say is the edge that this one has, or that the OTF has, is that this requires more manipulation, and you have to be very aware of where the blade is in the travel before you lock the handle down to make sure you get full deployment. Other than that, they are relatively similar in ease of deployment. I have to say, though, that just because there's less manipulation, you don't have to change hand position. I have to give 0.1 for the first round. So the round one winner is the OTF, because it simply is that much more easy without having to, you don't have to manipulate your hand position or anything like this. I would equate that to the difference between a back flipper, like a traditional flipper, and a front flipper. This knife, I do have to change my hand position and manipulate things a little bit. So round one goes to the OTF. Next criteria that we're going to look at, I find pretty important, which is practicality and usability. They are both kind of impractical. And I say that because there are still, even though people are, oh, switchblades aren't illegal, there's no law against. Both of these knives are federally part of a federal ban. So there are some practicalities and things like that. Depending on where you're at, these could be extremely illegal. In California now, it's a misdemeanor, no longer a felony, but that's not the case everywhere. It could be that these are a felony where you live. Practicality and usability comes down to a couple other factors. How does it feel in hand? How's the ease of use? And as much as I love both of these knives, and this is an incredibly functional, very usable blade, there's a couple factors at play here. When you deploy the blade on the OTF, it is ready to go, and you can manipulate this knife however you want and use it for whatever you want. This is one of the first OTFs I've ever handled that actually does have a very functional blade in a dagger configuration. It's ground incredibly well, and it cuts incredibly well. I am actually using this for EDC tasks. I am testing this as if I was testing it for any other EDC, which is something I've never really done with an OTF, because a lot of times they lack the cutting power that you get from other knives. This knife actually cuts better than that one, but I have to say, as far as practicality and usability, you're really limited. On this knife, even though it is a dagger, I can get up on it and hold on to it at the very tip and do a little bit of detail work. This, you run into some problems because there's no lock mechanism on this. So practicality is it does not like to stay open on its own. You have to hold it specifically in a fashion that you're putting tension on this lock over, on this part that locks over and clamps down onto this. So you really are kind of limited in use, which is, it's kind of sad because this is a very, very good blade shape and an incredibly well done blade, nice and thin. So it does cut well. Practicality of use, this blade is a little bit more practical and usable than the dagger, but the fact is that this locks itself open. I don't have to worry about the blade sliding on me if I don't keep enough tension on that and things like that. So round 2, point OTF. It is more practical and more usable. It's just the way it is. So let's look at point 3. Guys, I hate to interrupt the video because I know we're having fun, but I do have to do the YouTuber thing and remind you that this channel is self-sponsored with all the affiliate links and stuff you see down below. Anything from knives, tools, EDC gear, and Blade HQ, anything, all the Amazon links, they all support the channel. It doesn't cost you anything at checkout. So I'll talk about that at the end of the video. Now let's go back to the knives. 3 is another big ticket for me, and that's ease of carry. So these are both relatively large, to tell you the truth, compared to a lot of other knives that I would carry. There's QSP Penguin. Both of these knives are significantly larger than that knife. So ease of carry is not going to be any different for these really in comparison to like a 9-inch folding knife. When I'm talking about ease of carry, there's some things at play. What's the pocket clip feel like? How's it feel in hand? Things like that. This knife has got a really good pocket clip. They call it their gripper clip, which I was afraid I wasn't going to like. It's very good. Slides into the pocket easily. You don't have to treat it any differently than any other pocket clip. Sits in the pocket nicely, just about the right amount of tension, and it doesn't walk. This knife carries really easily, as do my other OTF knives that I have. The problem now is, how does this carry? What's the ease of carry on this? And it's nowhere near as easy to carry as this is. This is back to practicality. Ease of carry on this is not very good. As much as I love this knife, you're stuck with two really limited options. You have a belt sheath, which makes this fall into the same category for ease of carry as a fixed blade. So you're pretty limited on your ease of carry. Your other option is, and I got this from the guys over at Crane Cutlery when I bought the knife, this is a pocket slip. Now, you can get pocket slips that have pocket clips on it, which would make this easier to carry, but now you have an additional item. Just like this, a sheath or a pocket slip, you now have an additional item that you have to have, which detracts from the ease of carry. This is a very good sheath. However, it's not always practical or easy to carry a knife with a sheath. I was wearing shorts. I could not carry this in its sheath. So this round, again, has to go to the OTF because it's more traditional. It's more of a traditional style of knife. It's got a more traditional carry. I don't dislike it in the sheath, and I don't dislike carrying this in the slip. However, like I said, it's one more piece of kit that you've got to have. Now I have to have 2 things when now I only have to have 1. So ease of carry is gonna have to go to the OTF. So let's go ahead and move on to the next category, which is going to be complexity. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever looked and seen what's inside of an OTF knife. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of mechanisms and stuff. This one has an additional, it's got a spring. So if you're looking for something that's simple and not complex, you got to look at what's going on. So what does this have going for it? It's just simply a slide. So there's a lot of stuff going on in here, and your complexities are going to add to some different things. Complexities with the fact that now you've got a derail system. You may have to worry about realigning your parts and things like that. Complexity of disassembly and maintenance. It's a lot more complex. You have got to take this knife completely apart to do any maintenance or anything like that. It's a much different animal there. This knife is simple. It's not complex at all. It simply works with a pinch point on a pivot So there's a pinch point here and a pinch point here. That part slides in, it gets pinched and locked in there. When you open that up, it simply slides in that groove and it locks down in, and you pinch down on it and it's locked. So as far as complexity, this is one of the simplest knives out there. It's not at all complex. As a matter of fact, ease of disassembly, if you want to take the blade out of this, which you really don't ever need to, 2 screws, this comes apart, the pin comes out, the blade comes out the end. You don't even have to take this all the way off. It's simply a split right here, and that's it. So this is much less complex. Anytime you add complexities into it, you run into problems and things like that. So I think that this, round 4, has to go to the OTF. Or not the, I'm sorry, the gravity knife. Because this is so little bit of complexity to it. There is not much that you're gonna have problems with as far as complexity of mechanism. This is definitely, I've seen a video about what's in here. I'm hesitant to take it apart just because I don't want to up and screw this knife up at $1,600. So complexity goes to this one, goes to the gravity knife. You finally won a round, buddy. And the final criteria that I've picked is reliability. Now, I know what a lot of people are going to say. This is, I said it, the best possible OTF that's on the market. And if you look at how clean this is done and how tight that is, there's a lot of things that can happen. This seems to have been really reliable so far. I don't see any issues with it. I don't see any accumulation of grit and dirt and things like that, but this is a brand new knife. I have in my possession a couple other OTF knives, and I can tell you the reliability of an OTF knife is nowhere near what it's going to be on a regular folding knife, and nowhere even close to what this is. This is, in my opinion, compared to other knives, even regular flipping knives, regular flippers, this is probably the most reliable action. Because when you look at it, there's so many parts in here. There's a sled that rides on rails, 2 springs, and all of that stuff has to interact with itself. This button clicks into place, and if you get an accumulation of dirt and grit in this, you're not going to be able to get this to do what it wants. It's gonna partially fail. It's gonna partially deploy. I've seen it happen on some of the Microtechs. This simply is the simplest of mechanisms. Even better than some of your folding knives, because there's no bearings, there's no lubrication you need. There is nothing you have to do to this to make it work. They don't even recommend oiling this, and I have seen these where people have oiled these. As a matter of fact, my buddy Nico oiled his, and it causes more friction where the oil is, and it actually gummed it up, and it failed to deploy properly. And we had to take it apart, clean it, and use some solvent to get the oil off of it. So as far as reliability, I don't think you're going to find many knives that are as reliable as this, and very few that are more reliable. It is because of the simplicity of the mechanism, super, super reliable. The more simple things are done, a lot of times the more reliable they are. When you start adding more complexities and things like that, you've added points of failure. So I believe that going along with the complexity for last round, this has to take this round. So that was the final criteria I really had. If you guys want to revisit this, I'd like to talk about some of the things you guys think. But right now, overall winner, 3-2, is the OTF. Now, I will have to say that if you're looking at it from a price perspective, if price had been the next criteria, this would have won, or it would have at least been a tie. But I guarantee this is, in my book, the winner when it comes to price. As much as I love this knife, as perfect as it is the epitome of perfection. I can't afford a $1,600 knife that I can't carry everywhere that would get me in trouble with the police. I can't afford something that is basically a toy. This is like $300. I have other knives that are way more expensive, and I do use this. I do carry it. I do EDC it. And the fact is that just that point makes this truly the winner. But if you look at it from all those criteria we put forward, this one wins. 3-2. It's an incredible, incredible knife. It's more functional. It's more versatile. It is definitely easier to manipulate and deploy. So, guys, Let's turn this around. I'll do some final thoughts and send you out about your day. So there you go, guys. The king of the illegal knives, in my opinion, is that Deadlock. Man, that is the best over. And I talked with Jared Neves this morning, and he and I both were talking about it. I very rarely even come close to saying something is a 10 out of 10 in my book or highly recommend, because I am pretty critical. That is not just the most perfect OTF. That is absolutely a true statement. But I honestly think that is the first knife ever that I have found zero issue with. I might not have said it as clearly. It is the first knife I can honestly say is perfect. It's not just that it's a perfect OTF. Overall, it's the first knife I could say is perfect in my book. But as far as price point, that Gravity knife absolutely just kicks it in the shorts. I cannot justify a $1,600 OTF, as good as it is. It's just not something I can justify. In case you guys want to send me one though, I'll absolutely take it as a gift. Guys, that's it on this one. If you like the videos, give them a thumbs up. If you don't, give them a thumbs down, but tell me why. I cannot change the content if you don't tell me what you don't like. If you want to support the channel, it's simple as like, share, subscribe. Drop a comment, hit that bell icon. If you do hit the bell icon, make sure you got notifications turned on your device, and make sure that your notifications on that bell icon are set up for all so that you don't miss any of the content I put up. If you want to support the channel financially, there's a handful of ways. I have got a ton of affiliate links down below. This channel, as I said mid-roll, is self-sponsored, and anything you purchase with those affiliate links definitely supports the channel directly. It does not cost you anything at checkout. Other ways you can do it, I have got a merchandise store on Ember Shirt Co. where you can pick up my merchandise at a discount, and other creators' merchandise at a discount on Ember Shirt Co. with a coupon code I've set up for you, which is CrazySharp, capital C, capital S, CrazySharp, all one word, saves you 10% at checkout if you send me pictures of you wearing my merchandise. I will put you up behind me here in the outro. And the final way is I have a membership that is tier-based. Everyone has access to my Gilded server and exclusive content like B-roll, things like that. The premium and baseline tier members are automatically entered into a giveaway that I do on the Gilded server, and the premium guys have access to a sharpening tutorial series here on YouTube that's only accessible if you're a premium tier member. Guys, that's it on this one. If if it's your birthday, happy birthday. Almost forgot what I was going to say. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. I will see you guys in the next video.